guys, honestly, if you could learn how to do this one thing, it trickles into all other areas, honestly. And what is this one thing? Learning how to protect yourself. Yes, learning how to protect yourself. If you can do that one thing, you guys, you will be way ahead of the game. I'm telling you. But here's the glitch, or here's the often the hiccup. You come from a background where you weren't protected, especially we talk about infancy, growing up in your childhood, a lot of abandonment issues. Nobody really protected you properly. In your roots, in your subconscious, when I say your roots, I'm talking about your subconscious, you don't know what that always looks like. And if anything, there's been a reinforcement of you to not protect yourself. Because then if you think about that, if you were in situations where you weren't being protected, that means you were most likely punished if you tried to protect yourself. So that entrenches it that much more into your subconscious to be, a people pleaser, for instance, or to be too nice, we'll put that in quotes, or to be a pushover, to not stand up for yourself, to apologize obsessively when you shouldn't be, to have a chain reaction in your mind where it's every time something goes wrong, what did I do? What did I do? Now, there's nothing wrong with seeing what control you have in a situation. There's nothing wrong with that. But oftentimes, when, like I said, going back to the example of being the unprotected child, which is often the case of why someone would be struggling with this, not knowing how to protect yourself. And when people think of protection, unfortunately, it's a very shallow thing, in most societies. They're like, oh, I'm going to learn how to fight physically, or I'm going to, get a license to carry, or some pepper spray. And, while it's good to do those things as well, we definitely can't minimize learning how to protect yourself psychologically, learning how to protect yourself spiritually, learning how to protect yourself sexually. Okay? Yeah. In all the ways. And it's basically, knowing how to recognize toxicity and knowing what's okay with you and what's not, or what should be okay with you and what's not, depending on where you are in your journey and your emotional maturity of being able to even identify the things that you should be identifying that are to your detriment or that are going against you. But man, you guys, as adults, not children who are very vulnerable, but as adults, a lot of our pain and suffering, a lot of it is from not protecting ourselves, and a part of that sometimes is thinking ahead, seeing angles, not just considering your perspective, thinking of things intellectually and not just emotionally, actually learning, looking into things, seeing options, finding out what your options are if you don't know them, but just protecting yourself, not just seeing things one way per se. Like, yes, you want the best of a situation, but if B happens, if C happens, if D happens, what is it? Or are we constantly leaving ourselves, to be blindsided? Because that's what happens if we don't consider angles of things. We get blindsided. Like, I could hope for the best of a situation, but if I at least considered everything that it could be, I'm definitely not blindsided. Even if I might be disappointed, like, well, I was hoping it wouldn't have did that, but I already had considered it and I'm prepared for that, you know? But learn how to protect yourself, you guys. And if you have a special situation that you may not know how to protect yourself, I do offer coaching. My website is lakiacrawford.com. You can definitely schedule a session with me and, I'll help you with that. All right. And if you can't get to me, I'm sure there's other sources that you can get to as well. And I'm hoping that people on this channel do ask the divine, do ask God for his guidance, because he is there to give it to you. He is there to give it to you. But ultimately, learning how to protect yourself, that is the most vital thing that you can learn how to do in this life, because it will trickle, like I said, into all the other areas. All right? All right, you guys. Great conversation, and I'll see you in the next.